Hey everyone, back here with John from Petvivo. We're going to be jumping in this video to sales strategy. We're getting some questions. How are you guys growing your sales force? How are you growing, your vets, etc. So, hey John, how are you today? First of all,
I'm doing good, Jason. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Weather's getting nicer here, so things are great. So I guess let's kick it off. Is there a general sales strategy you want to chat about first before we, dive super deep? What's the sales strategy that happens at Petvivo?
So we're taking a three-pronged approach. Obviously, with the coronavirus shutdown, it's on hold. But as we get ready to go and increase our production in the lab to build up inventory, the first leg of the approach would be to just have sales reps make the calls on individual vet clinics and adopt those vet clinics as customers, because we find once they try the product, the adoption rate is pretty close to 100%, if it's not 100%, because how fast the product works. The second approach is the use of distributors. Now, about 75% of all vet clinics are carried through three major distributors, and that is Patterson Veterinary Health, MWI, and Henry Scheib. Those three control the market. Now, to get into those distributors, they know about our product, the reps like our product, but they have regulatory issues from the legal department. Because we did human studies, we didn't do animal studies. They have to have animal studies, even though the human studies are much more stringent before they check off and be able to carry the product. So that's one of the tasks we'll be doing as the coronavirus subsides and we go back to work. We'll be engaging a university to do the study, and we have several that we have met with and put the protocols together, so it won't take long to get those studies. And that's where I've talked about before, where we would expect our sales to be moving along, not at a rapid rate, but a pretty good clip. And then all of a sudden you see the hockey stick approach on the curve where the revenue spikes up, and that's when you bring on the distributors. The third portion, or the third leg of how we do this, is basically a consumer-driven using social media to drive the consumers to talk to the vets about the product. So we'll be doing some very good feel-good videos, and that we believe can be achieved by going through our nonprofit arm, which is Petvivo Cares. We will be providing syringes to nonprofit organizations like Guardian Angel Service Dogs, animal rescues, animal humane societies. So we'll be actually showing real cases of, Frankie the Basset Hound that's been sitting at the pound for 4 weeks and has a lameness issue, and then a week after the injection, it gets adopted right away, and you see Frankie out there running in the yard. So it's total feel-good story, but beyond that, it gives us access to volunteer vets that we may not be able to call on, but they get to see the injection, and then we feel it's going to be 100% conversion of trying the product to being a regular customer of these vets. And those feel-good stories will drive people that are very passionate about improving the quality of life of their pets. So the people that are volunteering, the humane societies will be talking to their friends. So it's a real grassroots type approach until we get the university study where we launch, do the major distributors, and there we can do various wet labs showing how to do the injections properly. It's not a difficult process, but vets like to get a free lunch and get their continuing medical education credits at these conferences, when we do the demonstrations.
Yeah, so I think that's awesome. So three-prong approach, like you said. I kind of wanted to hear a little bit more about conferences versus word of mouth. And obviously, I'm assuming a product like this has incredible word of mouth power. What's kind of your take on, the power of word of mouth, and what you've seen potentially as some results already from word of mouth, and even, your conference, kind of style?
Yes, we haven't launched a lot of media into the consumers because we just got our facility certified out in end of March. Okay, so we haven't done large scale volume production, and that's what the purpose was, to build the facility out in our current corporate headquarters and be able to do large scale production. So we wanted to build up some inventory first before we push the social media aspect. which will be happening soon. Now, the conferences, we were at the Western Veterinary Conference, which was late February in Las Vegas, and had really good responses from the vets. We got quite a few vets that are wanting to try our product, and we started shipping product to them, and then the coronavirus hit. So they're basically vet clinics are considered non-essential, so they're shut down unless there's an emergency. Then they open up for a procedure. So, give you an example, we had one vet in a small town in South Dakota use the product, and within 2 weeks, he had 5 other dogs owners show up wanting their dogs injected with the product because the first dog, how good it was. So I'm sure it was at a local dog park, but it really surprised me that within 2 weeks, they did 5 other dogs in that short period of time. So it shows the power of seeing the example, how well this product works, and how the dog within 48 hours, it was an older lab that had problems of even standing, started to run. And that's what really triggered, I think, the other people wanting to try the product because they saw how happy the dog was and how happy the owner was. That's a powerful message.
That's amazing. I think that's a fantastic story. I mean, like you said, how fast it works, and hey, what do people like talking about just as much as their kids? It's their pets, right? So I think you're going to see a lot of stories like that come up, and that's why I think you're putting a big emphasis into, of course, these feel-good stories, but also, making a great product that other people don't mind sharing about, right? So that's fantastic. I kind of wanted to go into, I guess, let's talk numbers for a brief second. How many vets have you outreach to? How many are currently, using your products?
I would say around 50 vets because we were just having them try the product for the last, we had key opinion leaders that we also added onto our advisory board because they were so happy with our product. So they were the key guys using it for the last 2-3 years and writing up all the case studies. And then the Orlando show and then the Western Veterinary Conference were the first 2 shows we really started this year to attend to recruit vets. The show kind of showed different regions of how fast they would adopt. The Western vets seemed to take the product on much easier than the guys out in Orlando. I don't know if they were just more conservative and corporate owned. And a lot of it is probably more corporate owned out there, while the West Coast, the smaller towns in California and so on, these are individual vet clinics. They have no regulations from corporate saying you can't use this product. They were quick to adopt. That's what I'm seeing. So it'll be interesting next year when we attend these shows, because these are the major shows that they unveil their products for the year. For the veterinary industry, it's just like the consumer golf or the golf show in Orlando, late January. That's where everybody shows their new clubs for the year. Well, in the vet industry, it's pretty much the same. You got the show in Orlando in January, and then you got the February, and then you got the show in St. Louis, which is a little bit later.
Interesting. Well, I mean, either way, I think the domino effect is obviously extremely real. I mean, you already like 50 vets using it is pretty amazing to say. From an early stage, I think you're well off. If the product works, which we know it does, it's just a matter of time before more people come on board, more vets come on board, and then there's more demand for your product. So I think things are great. I guess talk to people about how you plan to grow sales after coronavirus. Obviously, some more feel-good stories. Is there anything you're looking to focus on? Once lockdown kind of comes off, what's your go-to? Okay, we want to increase sales. This is what I hope to do.
We're going to be bringing on some salespeople, so they will be making calls on targeted areas with vet clinics that we have vets in the area that are using the product because they tend to know each other. We've been attracting actually some Auburn vets, University of Auburn graduates, and then also Cal Santa Barbara vets have been using out of there. They went to school together, so they started talking and getting other vets interested. We had last week we had a really good conference call with a very good group of vet clinics, probably like 3 or 4 of them, part of the same clinic. And one of the vets that have used our product happened to come on the call to give their analysis, and so they were very comfortable because they went to class, they went to school together. When our vet that have used the product for 2 years was telling them what kind of success they had, and they were kind of really surprised how effective it was, and there was a tendency to really believe them because of the fact they're friends. And the best referrals are peer referrals between friends, and we feel that that's going to be one of the approaches we'll be pushing to get that, and also showing some of the successes we have with the dogs and horses on video. It's pretty meaningful.